Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Learn English with Newpod, the podcast for learners who want to improve their English skills every single day. I am Kevin, your online English teacher, and I am here to help you speak English with more confidence. I will be speaking slowly and clearly so you can follow me and repeat after me. I am so happy to welcome you to our class today. Every time I make a new video, I feel so excited because I know people from all over the world are learning with me. Before we look at our lesson, I want to ask you a quick question so we can connect. Please leave a comment down below right now and tell me, where are you from and what time is it where you are right now? I love seeing all the different countries and times, whether you are starting your morning or studying late at night. Today, we are fixing a big problem. Many of my students speak with perfect grammar, but they still sound a bit stiff, like a robot. Why does this happen? It happens because English textbooks teach us how to write formal essays for school. They do not teach us how real people talk on the street, in shops, or with friends. If you say a word like furthermore in a casual conversation, it sounds very strange. You do not need difficult grammar to fix this problem. You just need simple, natural phrases. Let's look at how we can connect our ideas using real, everyday words. When you want to connect two ideas, textbooks love to teach you words like in addition or moreover. But in real life, native speakers almost never say those words when they talk to a friend. Instead, they use a tiny word, plus. You can put it right at the start of a sentence. For example, instead of saying, the restaurant is good, in addition it is cheap, you can say, the restaurant is good, plus it's really cheap. It is short, easy, and sounds completely natural. Another textbook word that sounds too formal is therefore. Real people do not use therefore when they are telling a simple story. Instead, when they want to make a long story short and simple, they say, so basically. Imagine you are explaining why you arrived late to work because of traffic and a missed alarm. You can finish your story by saying, so basically, I just woke up late. This helps the listener understand your main point immediately. What happens if you are talking about one thing, but a completely new idea pops into your head? A textbook might tell you to use the word incidentally, but on the street everyone says, by the way. If you are talking about a work project and suddenly remember a cool video, you can say, by the way, did you watch that new video? It is a great phrase to change the topic smoothly. Sometimes you want to tell someone your true feelings about a situation. Instead of using formal words like in reality, you can use the phrase, to be honest. This is a very friendly and open phrase. For example, you can say, to be honest, I don't really like reality TV shows. It shows the listener that you are sharing your real opinion. Now imagine you are telling a story, but you get distracted and start talking about something else for a minute. To stop yourself and go back to your main story, you can just use one word, anyway. You just say it, pause for a second, and continue your original story. You can also smile and say, as I was saying. This tells the other person, let's go back to what we were talking about before, without sounding awkward. While you are speaking, you also want to make sure the other person is listening and understanding you. Native speakers do not ask, do you understand? After every sentence because it sounds a bit too aggressive. Instead, they drop a small filler phrase into their speech. You know. You can say, the test was really hard, so I studied all night. It keeps the conversation friendly and connected. If you say a word wrong, or if you change your mind in the middle of a sentence, you do not need to say a formal apology. You can fix your mistake instantly by saying, I mean. It is like an eraser for your words. For example, you can say, we are meeting at 4 o'clock. When you want to talk about something that happens most of the time, textbooks teach you the word generally. To sound more relaxed, try using the phrase, for the most part. You can say, for the most part, the food at the cafeteria is quite good. It sounds very smooth and fluent. Similarly, if you want to talk about the final, most important result of a situation, you can use the conversational idiom, at the end of the day. For instance, you can say, at the end of the day, you have to choose the job that makes you happy. It means after you think about all the details, this is the most important truth. What if a friend tells you some new information, and because of that information, you need to change your plans? Instead of saying consequently, you can say in that case. If your friend tells you that the park is closed today, you can reply, in that case, let's go to the cinema instead. It shows you are flexible and natural. We also need a way to give information when we are not 100% sure about the facts. Instead of saying a heavy phrase like to the best of my knowledge, you can say as far as I know. For example, you can say, as far as I know, the bank closes at 5 p.m. This keeps your English light and conversational, and it protects you if the information changes later. Now let's talk about how we react when someone tells us a piece of news. Textbooks often teach us to say that is good or that is bad, but real conversations are much more expressive. For example, if a friend tells you they passed a big exam or got a new job, saying, that is good, sounds a bit cold. Instead, you can smile and say, that's awesome. It shows real excitement. If they worked really hard for it, you can also say, good for you. This phrase shows that you are happy for their personal success and proud of them. If the news is happy but more relaxed, like a friend telling you they had a nice, quiet weekend, you can say, I'm glad to hear that. It sounds warm, kind, and much more natural than a rigid textbook response. But what happens when a friend tells you something disappointing? If they tell you that it rained during their vacation, a textbook might tell you to say, that is a pity. Real speakers don't really say that anymore. Instead, they say, that's too bad. It is an easy phrase that shows you feel sorry about their bad luck. If it is a small disappointment, like missing a movie or a favorite shop being closed, you can use the casual phrase, what a bummer. This simply means that is disappointing. And it instantly makes you sound like a natural speaker. When the bad news is much bigger, like a friend losing their wallet or getting sick, you want to show deeper empathy. Instead of just saying, I am sad, you can look at them and say, oh no, that's awful. This tells the other person that you really understand their trouble and care about their feelings. Sometimes people tell you news that completely shocks you. If a friend tells you they are moving to another country next week, a textbook might teach you to say, I am surprised. To sound much more natural, you can say, no way. It does not mean you are telling them no. It just means I am completely shocked. You can follow it up by asking, are you serious? This is a great way to show that you are listening with high energy. Another wonderful phrase for surprise is, you're kidding. It shows that the news is so amazing or shocking that it almost feels like a joke. If someone is explaining an idea or a plan to you, like choosing a restaurant for dinner, and you want to show that you agree, you can say, "Sounds good." This is much lighter than saying, "I agree with your plan." It keeps the conversation moving forward easily. And if they are sharing a deeper personal problem and you want to show that you understand their perspective, you can say, "I see what you mean." This is a beautiful way to show empathy without using complicated words, and it helps the other person feel truly heard. Once you know how to react to your friends warmly, you also want to know the small shortcuts that native speakers use every single day to keep the conversation moving. Textbooks love to teach long, complete sentences, but in real life, people like to save time and breath. For example, if you want to ask a friend what they are doing right now, a textbook will tell you to say, "What are you doing?" To sound much more natural, you can ask, "What are you up to?" This is a very common, friendly way to check on someone, and it sounds completely relaxed. When someone asks you a question and you do not know the answer, saying, "I do not know," can sound a bit robotic if you repeat it too many times. A wonderful shortcut to use instead is, "I have no idea." This phrase shows that you truly don't know, and it flows out of your mouth very easily without making you feel stuck. Similarly, when someone explains a rule, a direction, or a plan to you, you don't need to say, "I understand." You can just nod your head and say, "I get it." This is short, clear, and shows you are following the conversation perfectly without using stiff classroom grammar.
What happens when you are talking, but you suddenly realize that what you said is not important, or you want the other person to forget about it? Instead of saying a long sentence like, "Please forget what I just said," you can just say, "Never mind." For instance, if you ask your friend where the bathroom is, but then you see the sign with your own eyes, you can say, "Never mind, I see it over there." If you are busy typing a message or looking for your keys and someone starts talking to you, you might need them to stop for just a moment. A textbook might teach you to say, "Please wait for me." But a much more natural shortcut is, "Hold on a second." This sounds very casual, and it gives your brain a moment to finish what you are doing before you listen. When you ask a friend to meet you, or when they are doing a favor for you, you want to show them that they do not need to feel stressed about time. Instead of saying, "There is no need to hurry," you can just smile and say, "No rush." It instantly takes away the pressure and makes you sound like a very relaxed, kind friend. At the end of a long day of school or work, you are probably going to feel very tired. Textbooks always teach the sentence, "I am very tired." But if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can say, "I'm beat." This simply means your body has no energy left. You can follow it up by telling your friends, "I'm off." This is a beautiful shortcut that replaces the formal sentence, "I am going to leave the room now." If a coworker asks you to help them with a small task, like sending an email, and you want to tell them that you will do it very soon, you don't need a long, heavy grammar structure. You can just say, "I'll do it in a bit." The phrase "in a bit" just means "in a short time," and real people use it constantly throughout the day. If someone asks you to look at a piece of information, like a price or a phone number, and it looks correct to you, you don't need to say, "I believe this is correct." You can just say, "Sounds about right." It keeps your English sounding smooth, friendly, and completely free from that rigid textbook style. Keeping your English friendly and natural also means learning how to soften your sentences so you don't sound too direct. Textbooks often teach us to speak in a very straight line, which can sometimes sound a bit too strong or aggressive to native speakers. For example, instead of saying, "I am tired," or "the movie is boring," real speakers like to soften their descriptions by using the phrase, "kind of." You can say, "I'm kind of tired," or "the movie is kind of boring." It sounds much more relaxed, polite, and natural. This relaxed style is especially important when you want to make casual plans with people. Textbooks will teach you to say, "Let us meet at approximately 5 p.m." But in daily life, people prefer to keep things flexible. You can use the word around before the time, like saying, "Let's meet around 5." If you want to sound even more like a native speaker, you can add a tiny sound to the end of the hour and say, "5-ish." Adding that little "ish" sound just means close to 5 o'clock, but not exactly, which takes away all the stress of being perfectly on time. When you have a fun idea for a weekend or an evening, you don't need to say, "I have decided that we should go to the beach." You can introduce your idea softly by saying, "I was thinking." For example, you can tell your friend, "I was thinking we could go to the beach today." This leaves room for their opinion and doesn't sound bossy. To check if they are actually available to join you, you can ask them directly, "Are you free?" This is the ultimate casual replacement for the formal textbook question, "Do you have availability?" To invite someone to spend relaxed time together, you should definitely avoid the formal textbook word socialize. Instead, you can look at your friend and say, "Let's hang out." If you haven't seen this person in a very long time and you want to sit down and talk about your lives, you can use the beautiful conversational phrase, "catch up." You can send a quick text saying, "We should catch up soon." When a friend invites you to do something fun and you want to say yes, you don't need to say, "I agree to participate in this activity." You can show high energy and excitement by saying, "I'm down." Another short and perfect phrase for this is, "I'm in." Both expressions show that you are happy to join the plan and are ready to go. Sometimes your friend will ask you to choose the restaurant, the movie, or the meeting place, but you don't really have a preference. Instead of using the heavy sentence, "It is your decision," you can smile and say, "It's up to you." This puts the choice nicely in their hands. But what if you check your calendar and realize you are simply too busy to go? You don't need to write a formal apology like, "I am unable to attend." You can just say, "I can't make it." This is short, polite, and completely standard. If the plan is still changing and you want them to share new updates with you later, you can finish your message by writing, "Keep me posted." If you show up a few minutes late to your hangout, or if you accidentally drop a napkin on the floor, you don't need to say, "I deeply apologize for this error." You can just use the short, casual phrase, "My bad." It shows you take responsibility for a small mistake without making the moment feel heavy. And when your friend smiles and tells you that it is not a problem at all, they will likely say, "No worries." This is the most common way real people say, "You are welcome," or "Don't worry about it," in everyday life. When it is finally time to say goodbye at the end of the day, you can replace the cold, permanent textbook word goodbye with some warm alternatives. You can look at your friend and say, "Take care." If you live in the same neighborhood or work in the same office and you know you will see them again soon, you can say, "See you around." And finally, if you are saying goodbye to a cashier at a shop or a waiter at a cafe, you can wish them a nice day like a true native speaker by saying, "Have a good one." It is the ultimate casual goodbye that leaves everyone smiling. And with that, we have officially covered all 50 phrases to help you stop sounding like a stiff textbook and start speaking real, natural English. If you practice using these everyday shortcuts, conversational glue, and natural reactions, you will instantly sound more relaxed, confident, and fluent whenever you speak. As your teacher, I am so incredibly proud of the effort you are putting into your learning journey. If this lesson helped you feel a little more confident today, please make sure to click that like button and subscribe to Learn English with Newpod. Your support means the world to me and helps me keep making these videos for you every single week. Before you close this video, don't forget our homework. Go down to the comments section right now and tell me, which phrase from today's lesson was your favorite, and how are you going to use it this week? I absolutely love reading your comments and chatting with you down there. Have a beautiful day, keep practicing, and I will see you right here in our next class. Goodbye, everyone.